The way I like to think of wisdom is our painful life lessons are the raw material for our future wisdom. So our wisdom comes from the metabolization of our life experiences.
Pause. That's really important. Can you repeat that? In journalism, we say like tighten it up, say it again. And we put up here because people, you can get a great deal on Chip's wisdom because he has upcoming workshops and that's in the chat. So, but just you have someone who says, I don't have any wisdom. Repeat, please.
So what I would say to someone who says they don't have the wisdom is I would ask them, do you have life experience? And the answer is yes. You have been hurt. You have made mistakes. You have regrets. You have gotten more emotionally intelligent as you've gotten older. Guess what? EQ grows with age, IQ doesn't. So there's all these areas in your life where you have built some life experience. How are you metabolizing it? How are you making sense of it and saying, I'm going to use that as a lesson moving forward, and here's how it's going to serve me? But the most important thing to know about wisdom, it's different than being smart or savvy. If you're smart or savvy, you can be selfish about it. When you're wise, it's a social good. You're supposed to share it. And that's why, frankly, as we get older, learning how to create intergenerational relationships in which you can share your wisdom is a beautiful act and a really important one. And the wisdom can go in both directions. There are a lot of 70-year-olds who I would say are not very wise and 30-year-olds who are. And it's because the 30-year-olds have made sense of their wisdom and their life experience. Last thought is from age 28 to the present day, I'm 64 later this year. So 35 years, I've had a practice where every weekend I spend 20 minutes sitting down with myself with a journal, but I don't write like in my diary about the week. What I write is I write a series of bullet points of my biggest lessons of the week, often which were painful personally or professionally. And then I write the bullet point of what the lesson was. And then I say, how will it serve me in the future? So in essence, what I'm doing is I am cultivating and harvesting my wisdom and accelerating it. And so at the end of the day, wisdom is different than knowledge. Knowledge is in your iPhone, wisdom is in your gut. And so the idea of helping us become a wiser society is essential because wisdom, human wisdom, is the balance to artificial intelligence. And in
What did you write down this past weekend?
this past weekend, I wrote down, I'll be really blunt and honest about it, that we've had a recent leadership shift at MEA. We had this beautiful offsite of our top 5 people in the company, and it was so strong and effective, incredible. And I guess one of my lessons was, why didn't I do that sooner? Why didn't I make these changes sooner? Another lesson I had was about my drinking. I didn't drink from age 26 to 41 because I'm from a family of drinkers and I was the first in the family to stop. And then once everybody else in the family stopped, I started again. And so I've been drinking for 23 years, but I also have stage 3 cancer and alcohol is not good for it. And so one of my lessons was I spent a week without drinking any alcohol and I was fine. And I said, I just feel better. And I was traveling and I just feel better when I'm not drinking. And so the lesson there is, what's my path to being less reliant upon alcohol as my routine, not ritual, although it does it does alter you a little bit, having this routine that at the end of the day, I deserve my glass of wine or my dark beer, my Guinness, because I had a great day. Are there other ways that I can do that? So those are 2 of the ones that I had this last weekend. I had, I think, 5 this last weekend, and I can't remember 3 right now. But
I love that.
being able to understand what you're going through, make sense of it, reflect upon it, and then say, how is it going to change how you're operating moving forward is what wise people do, in my opinion. But I don't think you have to be quite as intentional as this practice. What I've done with my leadership teams is once a quarter, I just sit down with my leadership team and I say, what was your biggest lesson of the quarter? And each person has to say, you could do this with your team, Maria. Each person says, here's my biggest lesson of the quarter. Here's what it taught me. And I'm gonna be vulnerable and candid talking about it. And then we all learn from each other.
I love that. Before we started on this conversation today, I jumped on to say hi to Chip. I said, how are we? And he said, raw and imperfect. That's how we are right now. And I loved that because everybody usually says, good, I'm fine, I'm good. And he said, I'm raw and I'm imperfect. Raw. Why are we raw? Talk about it.
Well, to be overdone is sort of what you think of when people are old.
I
Uh,
don't ever think about that. I don't.
yeah.
And I,
So
first of all, I don't think of you as old at all. First of all,
yeah,
you're younger than me. You're younger than me. And I, even though you mentioned that you had cancer, I wasn't going to mention, but you mentioned it. You look incredibly healthy. You're doing something that you love.
yep.
You are learning and growing and evolving. And you have the honesty to say that I'm raw. I love that.
Well, Rumi long ago,
I
and you
love,
you
yeah,
quoted Rumi on Sunday.
I
Rumi
love my
said
roommate.
that there are three stages: you're raw, you're cooked, and then you're overdone. I think is what he said.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, to say that you're raw means that you are willing to be curious and open and learn something new. But it also means that you're not guarded, you're not armored. To be raw, the opposite of raw might be armored. And in the state of the work that I do, I'm teaching 3 weeks in a row of workshops right now. Pico Iyer, the famous
I
travel writer,
love,
he's here
love.
this week. I'm teaching in Baja next week, Learning to Love Midlife. And then the week after that, Richard Rohr is teaching here with me in Santa Fe. So I better be raw because I'm leading workshops. So I'm okay with that.